Question number 10, Kevin Hague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Conservation and asks, how will the Department of Conservation fund the annual Cook Strait whale survey this year, now that its contract with OMV has ended?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Maggie Barry.
This survey was never intended to be an indefinite project, and it has achieved what it set out to do, which is to give accurate trend figures of the humpback whales. Surveys done over the past 12 years have shown a significant improvement in the whale population, from 25 back in 2004 to 137 last year. So we now have 12 years of fieldwork and biopsies. We will analyse those, review and reframe. And while we have finished the boat-based work, that phase is complete, but there's also a land-based component, a dedicated group of retired whalers and DOC will assist them to continue in their work.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Can the Minister confirm that the project that has been cut is the one that DOC has described as a great piece of work and a really exciting research project, and indeed used as a flagship for the Department's partnership program and presentations up and down the country?
The Honourable Maggie Barry.
Mr. Speaker, the particular Cook Strait project has finished what it needed to do, and we are analysing it. Not all projects last for all time. It has been very successful. It has given us a lot of information, and at the risk of repeating the information I gave in my last answer, I think it's important for the Greens to understand that the data that has been gathered is very useful, but it has now come to an end as far as the boat-based part is concerned. We may review that once we analyse the statistics, but at the moment we're very satisfied with it.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What work with native species has DOC had to cut to fill the gap left in kakapo recovery and research left when the corporate sponsorship for that species recently ended?
Mr. Speaker, that's a long way from the primary question,
I accept
which was
that,
very
but
specific.
the mention was around order. The mention was around corporate sponsorship. On that basis, I've allowed the question.
Sure. We have had a bumper breeding season for the kakapo. While one sponsor has finished, there are many others queuing up to take their place. And in a couple of weeks' time, I will be in a position to announce another sponsor. Kiwis for Kiwi. Kiwi Bank is no longer involved in other banks, but you'll note that from last year we had $11.2 million of new money, which has gone into Kiwi recovery. That has proved very successful. The ongoing programs are matched by Crown funding. They are matched by volunteer and community groups, and they are very successful and not dependent on corporate sponsorship, but it is a very nice to have element of it.
Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
How many species of snail or weta or ground beetle who have had their threat status slide closer to extinction under National's watch have had corporate sponsorship money found for them by the Department of Conservation?
The Honourable Maggie Barry.
What the member is failing to join up the dots on is that when we get corporate sponsorship, that enables DOC to do work that is perhaps less attractive to our corporate sponsors. So instead of taking away from our capacity, it enhances it. All of our species are very important. We protect ecosystems in a way that no previous Labor government had the courage to do. We deal with landscape predator control and ecosystem protection, and that is at the heart of species protection in New Zealand.
Supplementary.
Order. 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 Supplementary. Supplementary question, Kevin Hague.
Thank you, sir. What did OMV, New Zealand's largest producer in the oil industry, an industry that threatens whale habitat, get in return for sponsoring the annual whale survey?
The Honourable Maggie Barry.
I think probably they had the satisfaction of knowing that they were participating in something that was very helpful. The Cook Strait whale survey was needed at the time in the aftermath of Japanese whaling to ensure that the trend was accurately measured as to the humpback whale numbers going through Cook Strait. That is a responsible corporate response, and I think if the member wants to know any more, he could contact them and find out further detail.